The lesson.
Oh yeah.
The Hoods and LC, probably my two favourite Australian hip-hop groups of all time.
Thank you.
I always wondered, you know, obviously you guys been from Melbourne, Hood's been from Adelaide, but was there ever any discussions of, you know, doing music together, or did you guys ever do a show together back in the day? Because I never actually, I mean, I think I've only ever seen one Hood show, the first time they played Thebby, and I never got to see LC.
Yeah,
I got very close,
yeah.
but shit went
got
down,
shut down, yeah.
and you know we had to boost. But yeah, was there ever any talks of any collabs, and did you guys ever share a stage at any point in time?
Yeah, we did, man. Well, firstly, our first collab outside of the crew was in Adelaide, and it was actually with Debris and Flak, the Crossbred Mongrels. So as a weird kind of offshoot, we kind of have, to a degree. There was probably never any talk of a collab extending on from that. Maybe with Crossbred down the line, if it ever got to that stage, but not with the Hoods as such. I think probably from the time that they did the calling and we did the stages set, I think there was probably a distinct difference in our musical paths even then. I mean, they're hip hop heads and make rap music, and so are we, but there was a distinct difference in style. I don't think that means that you can't collab, but it probably just set us on those paths. Having said that, we have shared stages with them. I think on a couple of occasions, obviously, except for things like Culture of Kings. We did a big show in Melbourne, an all ages event, which was really cool. And that was kind of after stages set. And I got a feeling we might have done another one somewhere, but yeah, it was cool. It's good, you know. I got incredible respect for those guys, and yeah, again, although our music styles are probably fairly varied, the fact that you know, they've stuck to what they do, they're lucky enough or wise enough or smart enough or just make the music that people tend to love, and it's spread exponentially and helped a lot of people out in this country on their rap paths, you know. Again, those people that tried to emulate the Hoods, and there's been fucking hundreds of them, you know. Some maybe snuck through and were lucky enough to jump on their wagon a bit, and then others were just too whack and never fucking progressed past their first CD. But, you know, man, like, you know, as we sort of mentioned, you know, they're an entity unto themselves now, and I wish them all the luck, because I know how hard they work as a crew and their team. And I think if you've got the skill set there and the knowledge of music and a work ethic as a team, you know, the world is your oyster, and irrespective of what music you make. And I think that they've proven that, you know.
When you first met them, was there anything that made you think right there and then these guys are going to be really successful, or it was too early days in the whole scene, I guess, to really expect anyone to pop off like that?
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say, you know, back in 2000, it was probably way too early. You know, we were still doing shows. You know, I would say the Culture Kings gig in Melbourne and Adelaide were gigs of crowd magnitudes that would have been unheard of prior to that. So prior to that, everyone's playing to somewhere between 15 and 100, I suppose, you know what I mean? Maybe a couple of hundred Death Wish cast gigs and shit like that, or if you were lucky enough to get on a really big gig somewhere. I remember the AKA Brothers did a gig, and it must have been around 92 at the Virgin Megastore in Melbourne in Burke Street or whatever out the front, and it was with Sound Unlimited Posse, you know. So to think that Sound Unlimited Posse was a group from Sydney who became Sound Unlimited after another crew, they kind of evolved out of a group called Westside Posse. But Sound Unlimited was pretty big and a big commercial act. So to have AKA Brothers on that bill was bugged. I had to go see it because that was my favourite local rap group, you know. And yeah, that was a monstrous crowd in Burke Street out the front of Virgin. But, you know, barring those types of scenarios, I think as rap gigs as a whole, you weren't looking at anything of a big size. Then you went to the Culture Kings gig and it was like, wow, there's a bit of a following here. I don't think it was probably, you know, and I was pretty tight with Debris, probably more so than yourself and Pressure, but Pressure did come to my house to watch a 2000 AFL Grand Final though. Yeah, in Melbourne, but yeah, I don't think it was until The Calling probably came out, and it just, there was tracks there that you knew were gonna go, you know what I mean?
The lesson. 27. Oh yeah.